At the onset, I must reiterate that I have nothing but the greatest respect for those who serve in our nation's military. The soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, Space Guardians, Guard and Reserve. I have nothing but the greatest respect and honor for these men and women who raise their hands and swear the oath to defend and support our Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Whether it's a 3-year enlistment or a lifetime commitment, these are the people that stand on the front lines. And it's only them that is between our freedoms and annihilation. So I do have respect for them. Unfortunately, this administration, Donald Trump, a Vietnam War draft dodger, not because he didn't believe in the war, but because he was a coward, using bone sparers as a reason to dodge the draft. And Pete Hegseth, the current Secretary of War, who destroyed his own military career because he's a racist. It's literally tattooed on his body. But the disrespect that Pete Hegseth has shown our country's military and its warfighters, past and present, has been made very apparent to us all. And to help me illustrate that point, I'm going to read you an article from the Atlantic website. This was written by Clint Smith. Being black in Pete Hegseth's military. The Secretary of Defense is sending the message that black service members are not welcome. Daniel Chappie James Jr. became commander of Weenus Air Base near Tripoli just after rebels under Muammar Gaddafi took control of Libya in a coup in 1969. In the midst of that insurgency, Gaddafi led an effort to break into a U.S. air base, but James managed to close the gate in time to prevent the young rebel from entering. The incident, which James recounted in a 1978 interview, would come to be the stuff of Air Force lore. As the two men confronted each other, the story goes, Gaddafi got out of his vehicle and reached for his gun. James had a .45 in his belt. He told Gaddafi he better not pull the gun or he'd live to regret it. They stared at each other for a moment as the future dictator considered James. Then Gaddafi pulled his hand away, got back in his vehicle, and drove off. The rebel never attempted such a similar stunt again. One reporter referred to James as a Black John Wayne. By the time he was facing off with Gaddafi in Libya, James had already served in the military for 26 years. During this World War II, he trained at the Tuskegee Institute before joining the 477th Bombardment Group, the first unit of black bombers in U.S. military history. He then flew 101 combat missions in the Korean War and 78 more in the Vietnam War. He was eventually promoted to 4-star general, becoming the first black American in the history of the United States military to reach that rank. If my making an achievement can serve as some kind of spark to some young black or any other minority, it would have been worth all the years, all the blood and sweat it took to get here, he said at the time. The general became a hero to black Democrats and white Republicans alike. At a 1987 ceremony dedicating an aerospace science and health education center at Tuskegee University to James, Ronald Reagan called him a darn good pilot and a revered military officer and a truly great American, quoting him. In 2020, the state of Florida named a bridge after James. The bill was signed by Governor Ron DeSantis. But last year, after Donald Trump signed executive orders gutting DEI programs across the federal government and the military, people in the Pentagon noticed a painting of James had been taken down from its prominent location in the Air Force Art Gallery, instead putting a new painting in that spot where James's portrait had been. The Pentagon kept the space empty, leaving employees with the impression that in spite of his many achievements, the new administration viewed the general as a symbol of unearned achievement unworthy of recognition. James, who died in 1978, may not have been surprised.
You know, one of the most insulting questions that gets asked me sometimes is, did they give you your 4th star just because it's a bicentennial year coming up and they want to say we got a black day? In one word, one question, this guy has wiped out all the blood and sweat and tears and preparation and effort that it took me to prepare myself, to fill the squares, to fight the wars, to go to the schools, to go to Air University, and to study deep into the night, to hone my skills as a fighter pilot, and to get out there over way north in skies much less friendly than those of United and fight my way back home in the name of the foreign policy of my country. No, they didn't give me anything. And they don't give away stars in my service. You got to earn them. Generals are made, they're not born.
He might as well be responding directly to the War Secretary P. Hegseth, who derived of affirmative action promotions in the military in his 2024 book, The War on Warriors. Quoting him, "Our strength is not our diversity." At the Pentagon, Hegseth has directly intervened to block and or delay the promotion of more than a dozen black and female senior officers. He has dismissed or pushed out several high-ranking black and female officers. He has presided over the restoration of tributes to Confederate soldiers, traitors to the United States who fought a war predicated on maintaining and expanding the institution of slavery. All these actions are extensions of the same project, delegitimizing the achievements and the very presence of black people in the military. Some black service members have chosen to quit or early retire in response to what they see as a newly hostile environment. Others are still serving but feel deeply demoralized. In interviews with 24 currently enlisted civilian and retired black members of the military across the armed forces, person after person told me they have watched in dismay as the new administration has diminished and erased a proud history. Many of the officers I spoke with were on the 2nd or 3rd generation in their family to serve and had children who were serving as well. Racism in the military, they were quick to remind me, is not new. Those who came before them had it much harder. At the same time, it has been difficult to see the gains that their forebears undermined so starkly in such a short period. That they are concerned about the cost of this administration's actions for individual black service members and for black Americans more generally. Right now, one retired senior Air Force officer told me, I'm questioning whether it was all in vain. In 2025, Tony Merrick was confirmed as Secretary of the Air Force. Shortly after he arrived at the Pentagon, he told senior leadership, including Kerry, that the Air Force will remove books from the military libraries and educational institutions that fell under the umbrella of DEI. Kerry was angst. This, on top of the broader dismantling of initiatives that he believed were finally bringing some measure of equal opportunity to the military, was too much. Kerry notified senior Pentagon leadership that he would retire. He did not, however, want more junior officers to be pushed out of the military by a racist administration. At a luncheon held a few months later to celebrate his decades of service, he told young black officers in the room that it was now their responsibility to support one another. He encouraged them to stay in the service to defend this country and its Constitution. Quoting him, "You got to carry it on. It's going to be tough, and sometimes you're going to have to swallow your pride," he recalled saying to them as Brigadier General Jimmy E. McMullen, a retired Air Force officer, told me, "If everybody that cares walks away, there'll be no one but left who cares." Other senior black officials I spoke with expressed similar sentiments. As one told me, and I quote, "This country is great because of us, despite how much they treated us." And when I think about what I'm willing to live and die for, I would not sit idly by and let someone else come and take what we've built, despite folks not recognizing the role we played in building it, unquote. He finds it ironic that Hegseth has put so much emphasis on the idea of unearned, quoting him, affirmative action promotions. When McMullen believes that Hegseth himself, a former Fox News host who retired, you notice I'm putting air quotes up there, retired from the military as a low-ranking senior officer, is unqualified for the job of secretary. McMillan cried as an example of what he sees as secretary's politicized agenda. The speech Hegseth gave in Quantico, Virginia in September of 2025, for which he made the unusual decision to require 800 generals and admirals to travel from their posts around the world. In the speech, Hegseth told military leaders that it was okay to use profanity with subordinates, or even to put hands on them, seeming to suggest that he would condone physical assault. If faced with complaints of unfair treatment or discrimination, Hegseth said that the Pentagon would make sure that their records remained clean. Some black service members told me that they interpret this as a license for white officers to treat their black subordinates poorly without fear of repercussion. It's setting up a climate that perpetrates and protects wrongdoing, Brooks told me. The tone of the speech was, "Get on board or get out." Listening to it sent shockwaves to those of us who spent a career in our beloved military, unquote. Robert Cook, who joined the Army out of Hampton University's ROTC program, agreed with this assessment. Cook believes that the speech could, for instance, empower a white sergeant to overlook the work of his black private or a white captain to denigrate the contributions of a black lieutenant. Under good leadership, no white person wants to be accused of being racist. Under this leadership, it could be seen as a badge of honor. That's Cook talking. Reginald described the experiences of being black in the military as akin to being in a pool that's filling up slowly, drip by drip. Quoting him, as the pool fills up with little droplets of water, the weight of that over time just gets heavier and heavier and heavier. And then when you look up, you're like, man, I'm drowning. For his part, Reginald had decided that instead of getting out of the pool, he's going to swim harder. Hegseth and all of his bravado ain't strong enough a person to get me to step aside from 20 years of something I feel connected to, he told me. Because this is mine. This isn't yours. You're paying rent here. He took a deep breath. I've got too much invested in this thing. As a descendant of enslaved people, Reginald is sustained by his sense of history. He is operating in the traditions of Chappie James, of Hazel Johnson Brown, the first black woman to become a general in the military, of Charles Young, a man born into slavery who became the first black person to achieve the rank of colonel of the Army, of Lewis and Charles Douglas, sons, both of them brothers and sons of Frederick Douglass, who are among the first black Americans to volunteer for the Union Army, and of James Gratz Thompson, a 26-year-old black cafeteria worker from Wichita, who asked in a letter to the Pittsburgh Courier shortly after the attack on Pearl Harbor, should I sacrifice my life to live half American? Will things be better for the next generation in the peace to follow? Will it be demanding too much to demand full citizenship rights in exchange for the sacrificing of my life? Is the kind of America I know worth defending? Thank you, Clint Smith, for this article. To be very honest with you, despite what I said earlier, because I still have the greatest respect for those who serve in our military. But right now, I don't believe our country's worth sacrificing and serving for any longer, thanks to Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth. When you have two people who are making it their business, making it their primary mission to demoralize, to denigrate, and insult the service of men and women in our military who put their lives on the line every day they put on the uniform. When you have people like Trump and Hegseth that will spit and piss all over them as they have done in the last year and a half, the question has to be asked, is it worth it? Is it still worth it? Some patriots, and I honor them, will say, yes, it is. But in my opinion, my humble opinion, it's not. When you have a commander-in-chief and a secretary of war that will not honor them. And I honestly don't know why they have decided to do this. Maybe because they are racist, hateful bigots, or maybe because they're jealous of people like Chappie James and all the men and women, regardless of color and regardless of sexual orientation, to raise their hand to swear a sacred oath to defend this nation. In almost the same way as the Bible teaches us in Isaiah 6 and 8. There I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? And I say, Here I am, send me." You didn't hear the voice of the Lord, Donald Trump or P. Hegseth. You didn't hear your call to service, regardless about how you felt. They did. You didn't. And I think you're jealous of them. And your jealousy has done nothing but piss and insult the men and women who are more braver, have more balls than you ever will. CTP, know the truth. God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.